In this demonstration, we want to talk about reheat in a Rankine cycle. So I've started up the Rankine cycle simulator here, and it's still in its baseline conditions. So if you hit reset, you'll be sure to have those same conditions. And if we look at the TS diagram, the baseline conditions here are very unrealistic because the exit of the steam generator, or entrance of the turbine, is a saturated vapor. So as that steam expands through the turbine, liquid is going to start to appear right away. By the time it gets to the exit, there's going to be a substantial amount of liquid in that turbine, and that is likely to cause a lot of damage to the turbine. These are difficult conditions for a turbine to operate effectively in. So we want to get this turbine process as much as possible out into the superheated region. So certainly the first way to do that is to add some superheat. So we want to superheat this point. So I'm going to go and add 200 degrees of superheat to that point. And so now that point 1 is 200 degrees higher than the saturation temperature right here. So you can see that as we add superheat, we move this turbine process over to the right and get it at least partially out into the superheated region. But you'll notice there's still a substantial amount of this turbine down here in the mixture region, so there'll still be a substantial amount of liquid showing up in this turbine, and that's likely to cause damage or at least reduce the life of the turbine significantly. So one option would be to add even more superheat. So if I go back here and I add, let's say 250 degrees, I've gone even higher, and of course this is shifted over even further. We'll try to go to 300 degrees. So now we're even higher, and this is shifted over even more. But there's something I want to point out here. This is a line of constant pressure at the steam generator pressure, and in this region this is drawn to scale. So the thing I want you to notice is that this line is very steep. So in order to get the turbine process, the green line, farther over to the right and get this out into the superheated region, the temperature at this point 1 is going to become extremely high. Notice it's already up around 600 degrees. So that point 1 is at 10 megapascals and 611 degrees. That's probably already beyond what materials can survive at. So we need to restrict that temperature. We can't let it go up that high. So I'm going to drop it back to 250. Now because of that, we still have a lot of liquid here. Now of course one thing we could do is increase the condenser pressure up here, but in the previous video, if you took a look at that, that just destroys our thermal efficiency. We want this condenser pressure to stay at least this low, maybe even lower if we could afford it. So to overcome this problem, Rankine cycles use the concept of reheat. So we go into this simulator here and we see there's two reheaters that we can turn on. They're currently off because they both have 0 degrees of reheat, but we'll take our first reheater and add 113 degrees of reheat. So if we look on the TS diagram, we'll see we now have 2 turbine stages, and you can see them down here in the schematic diagram. So steam generator delivers steam to the first turbine stage, expands partway, comes out through the reheater into the second turbine stage. On the TS diagram, that's our first turbine stage, 2 to 3, here's our reheater, and there's the second turbine stage. So you can see we can move this expansion over to the right without going up to such high temperatures. I'm just going to reduce the pressure that this is happening at, get it down to more realistic pressure. So as soon as these are non-zero, these pressure sliders become active, so I can reduce the pressure of that reheater. So down there, and I can increase the amount of reheat there if I want. So notice I'm having the effect of moving this over to higher and higher qualities. Now it could be that it's not possible to get this far enough to the right with only a single reheater. So quite often these cycles will have 2 reheaters, and this simulator has provision for that. So we can add another reheater in here, and it'll be at an even lower pressure. And so we can see that reheater here, and if I add some more reheat, just increase that a little bit, notice I've been successful using 2 reheaters to get the exit of that third turbine stage now all the way out into the superheated region. So now these three turbines are completely in the superheated region. And that's the purpose of reheaters, is to get those turbine processes out into the superheated region. If we take a look at the layout now, the schematic, because we have two reheaters, we have three turbine stages now. So this is the reason we do reheat, is to move those turbine processes as far as possible out into the superheated region.